So the ketamine hype train meets its biggest test yet. And you might be saying, Dr. Rossi, what the hell are you talking about? Ketamine's amazing. It revolutionized psychiatry. People's depression was cured. And you know what? You're right. There's no shortage of people out there who are saying that ketamine is an amazing medication that has changed their life, reduced their depression, and helped them to function better. However, we've been seeing little by little a couple of holes in ketamine's armor. And this recent study in JAMA Psychiatry really kind of makes that evident and apparent. Now, this is a double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled trial that found something really profound that no other study that compared ketamine to active placebo has found in the past. And what these researchers found in their study was there was no significant antidepressant advantage for IV ketamine infusions versus placebo, specifically the active placebo midazolam. Now, we should keep in mind that this was in the inpatient hospital setting, and all of these individuals in the study had moderate to severe depression. But what's really interesting is that despite serial IV infusions of ketamine, 8 in total, and 6-month follow-up, ketamine failed to outperform midazolam, the active placebo, on any outcome measure. There wasn't a significant reduction in depressive symptoms, cognition didn't improve, it wasn't any more cost effective, and the person's quality of life did not improve either. Now, of course, we should look at the methods and determine, well, maybe this study is flawed. Maybe the researchers skewed it in a way that was going to allow this outcome to become evident. But I think this study suffers from the same flaws that we see in other similar studies, which is that blinding is difficult, right? 90% of the raters in this study correctly guessed the treatment assignment, which can cause problems and inflate small observed effects. It was also underpowered, meaning that the number of participants in the study was small. It was only 65 people. They originally were looking to get 80 people, but they were recruited during COVID and it was difficult to find people to do it. The final thing I want to point out is that this was in the inpatient setting. Now, what's interesting about that is in 2024, a JAMA Psychiatry article came out that performed a secondary analysis comparing ECT and ketamine to inpatients, right? And what they found was that ECT works really well for inpatients, right? Because these are the most severe, theoretically the most severe cases of depression that one is going to come across. Whereas ketamine seemed to outperform ECT for outpatients. So the setting might actually matter here. The fact that this was inpatient may have made it less likely that ketamine was going to produce a signal. And again, this differs from what we've seen in other studies that have used midazolam as an active placebo, because there are other studies that compared ketamine to midazolam infusions, and typically ketamine beats midazolam. So this has to be taken with a grain of salt, right? I'm not saying that this study definitively proves anything, but I think one thing is for sure, and that is that when ketamine is compared to an active placebo, the results are not as significant as when it's compared to something like a saline infusion. So we should keep in mind that while ketamine can be a useful tool, it has helped people in the past, it will probably continue to help people. We should be a little bit skeptical of seeing it as a significantly more robust effect than other methods of potentially treating depression, including ECT for those who are inpatient.